Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod. I'm your host, Josh, and we have some Star Wars news to chat about this week. We've got a numerous amount of episodes upcoming on the show, but it's just been crazy times. So we decided just to cover some Star Wars news headlines. And we're chatting all about Qui'ra returning to Star Wars Marvel Comics with a third story tying into War of the Bounty Hunters and Crimson Reign, as well as lightsaber toys. Talk about that extensively, and various other things coming out on Disney Plus, Galaxy of Sounds, and much more. Take a listen. We got Blake coming up on the show.
Another happy landing.
And now a quick trailer for Star Wars Galaxy of Creatures.
Hello, fellow enthusiasts! Ari here on yet another mission for the Galactic Society of Creature Enthusiasts. You have questions about creatures from all over the galaxy, and I'm on a mission to answer them. Tauntauns can be used as mounts in extreme cold conditions. But how are we going to tame one of these noble steeds? The Society wants to know if we can train these guys to be guard animals. This little one has a lot of energy. Oh, wow, porgs! Now sit. Sit. There you have it, enthusiasts. With a keen eye and unshakable determination, a friendship is forged. And chin scratches are a big help too, aren't they?
All right, we are sitting here in the cantina enjoying the nice atmos, and we have Blake joining us back on the show. Blake, welcome back.
Hey, glad to be here. It's exciting. Look at this new content.
All this new content. Man, we kick things off with Galaxy of Creatures. It's not for everyone.
It's a neat design, though. It almost looks kind of South Parky, the way everything almost looks like it's cut out of paper.
Yeah, and you know, it reminds me a little bit of Forces of Destiny, which was like a YouTube series for younger kids, specifically girls, like targeting girl fans. And they had a whole like Barbie doll lineup that kind of followed that. So this seems to be aimed at just kind of anybody who's in that younger fan category. And I don't know, it looks like the kind of thing that might be fun for like parents to watch with their 5-year-old or something like that. It's just, it's like a adventurous kind of like explore the galaxy and watch videos on porgs and banthas and blurgs and all this and that. Honestly, at that age, weirdly enough, they might even learn more about Star Wars creatures than fans who have watched these movies for years and years. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, just being exposed to it. I'm just looking at the toys that are supposed to go along with the show, and they did a really good job taking a Quakian monkey lizard and trying to make it adorable, because that thing is quite disgusting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like they got links on the website to Target, and there's just like a bunch of little plushy things and
Minox.
Yeah, they've got some T-shirts and pillows. They make a whole merch line behind it. Like Disney just goes all out whenever they do anything. It's just a web series, but honestly, it's like to the nines as far as what's already available for it. So
you know what though, if you have like a nephew or a niece that's quite young, like you around 5 years old or so, this would be, I think, a really good toy to get them, just to get them interested in Star Wars.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's print out coloring pages and all that stuff. It's kind of cool. So it's if anyone's interested in showing their niece and nephew or their kid or I don't know if you're nannying or something like that, you go to starwarskids.com/galaxy of creatures and you can find it there, all free, which is always nice. So let's what do we got here? We got a bunch of stuff that launched on Disney Plus. A couple things. I actually watched these things. Did you watch the Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales? It's a new Lego Star Wars special that came out for Halloween. I
did not. Please enlighten me.
Okay, so I watched the Christmas one last year, and I wasn't a fan. It was okay. They had some moments where I was like, oh, haha, But as we know, the Lego things kind of get a little goofy, and not that I don't like Lego humor, but the Lego humor I liked was in the old games where there was no dialogue; it just kind of happened. It was like
slapstick.
Yeah. Like I don't know, I was okay with that stuff, but I don't know. Maybe my heart is hardened to Lego humor as I've aged a little bit. But I don't know. I just like the Lego movies for me, as long as it's the Lego Movie and Lego Movie 2 were like I like those, and visually they're really appealing to look at, but I don't know, the other stuff that they just kind of make TV specials out of, and like I never got into the Yoda Chronicles. I know that was a big thing.
Yeah, they even made sets out of that one, which was surprising.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so this is just like another thing to add on to that, and now they've done 2 of them, so I've watched both. Christmas one was okay. I don't know. Being a Disney product, they're obviously utilizing all the cast and characters from the sequel trilogy, so it evolves around just characters I'm like, meh, okay, whatever. But there's other characters that do show up in these things. Like the Christmas one, they go back in time, and they bring in characters from across the whole saga, and that was kind of neat. But it still just wasn't my cup of tea. This more recent one was okay. It involved Poe Dameron crashing down on Mustafar in the post Rise of Skywalker era, and he befriends a kid there, and there was a Hutt who's like a contracting guy who's renovating Vader's castle to be like a theme park or like a hotel or something like that.
That's funny. But so this is it's all one story, the whole
it's like
film?
one movie. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought it would be almost like the Simpsons, like Halloween shorts, but they're Star Wars themed.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, what is it, like 37 minutes or 40 minutes or something, and it's like a TV movie. It's what was kind of neat about it is it had 3 like creepy stories or whatever that
okay.
And that old guy, the servant of Vader from Rogue One, who you saw behind in the trailer, and then everyone thought it might have been the Emperor, and then we saw the movie and it was just some old guy, like his butler. So that guy is the guy that he returns in Lego form, and he's like the only person still living in the castle. Is like these people are just basically knocking it down and renovating it and stuff. Yeah. And he's got this evil mastermind, having like served multiple masters over the course of however many years he's been alive. He's got his own goal to be his own master finally, and so he tells these creepy tales to Poe and this boy and the contracting Hutt or whatever. And as they kind of go through this tour of the castle, like you kind of get to know these things, and they're all stories that are either told in canon and twisted to fit the Lego humor, or on purpose because this guy's like a liar.
Right.
I don't know. It was a little better than the Christmas one.
Okay.
But
it's a neat idea, and I have to say, I actually really like the poster.
Yeah. They've been releasing a lot of interesting posters online. A couple of them being very nostalgic towards some 80s classic horror movies and this.
Yeah, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, like they did one for The Shining.
That's
did one
the one
for
I'm looking
Alien.
at. Yeah. I'm looking at The Shining one. So it's like it's the door when he like smashes through the axe, except there's just all the Star Wars characters are looking through it, and there's like a gray B1 battle droid holding the axe.
yeah, Mr. Bones.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's and then there's another one where it has like the 2 little girls, and then there's an alien one where instead of an egg, it's the Death Star. with the green light, around the rim kind of thing. So yeah, they've been doing a really good job promoting this thing. All the posters have nothing to really do with the actual movie itself, but
it's almost a little disappointing because I would love a Star Wars take just for fun on those old classic horror stories.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting. One of the most interesting part about this thing, though, as I was watching it, was the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book. It's a comic book that I've recommended, on countless occasions to anyone out there. It's written by Charles Soule, who is the same author as Light of the Jedi, and also has written some of the most amazing Star Wars comics ever, including the first 2 sets of Darth Vader comics. And he basically told the story in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book as to how Ben Solo became Kylo Ren. And it's a 4-issue miniseries, really quick to get through, and it was it definitely fills in a lot of holes that The Last Jedi kind of left us with, wondering what was the actual truth. And this Lego movie actually takes that comic book story and twists it and turns it into something you can kind of see on screen. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, it was kind of neat that they used that as inspiration to tell the story, but then they changed things about it. And obviously you're going to get a whole lot of articles online being like, they just changed Kylo Ren's backstory and this and that. And, it's like, okay, well, it's not exactly canon, but yeah, they've pulled inspiration from the in-universe story that actually happened, which was really good, and you can find it in that comic book series.
That's actually pretty cool. I might watch this show just for that. But it makes me wonder, though, if people haven't read the comics, like lots of kids and stuff, they're not going to grow up thinking this is the real story.
Yeah, it's obviously like a very goofy version of that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's just the case with a lot of things. And again, I think it all goes back to that question, because we had an episode that we did all about canceled Star Wars. We called it RIP Star Wars. And in the RIP Star Wars movies and TV show episode, we talked about Star Wars Detours, which was a very goofy cartoon animated thing put on by Seth Green. And that was meant to be kind of like a kid's version of Robot Chicken, but with like almost like caricature versions of the Star Wars characters. And Disney's claim to fame that they said, we haven't released this because we didn't want fans to be introduced to our characters and then have to see these wacky versions of, not thinking that the previous 6 movies never ever mattered at all. Like, they were just thinking about themselves, obviously. So I'm still waiting to see Detours, and the fact that they keep on releasing these goofy twisted tales of in-canon stuff makes me think maybe we're one step closer to getting it. But same principle. I mean, they took an in-canon story and just goofed it up and made it for kids.
I mean, the same as Robot Chicken in a lot of ways too.
Yeah. And speaking of Robot Chicken, I didn't even realize they were making more Star Wars shorts, but maybe not enough to come out with a whole another collection of them. But they have been producing these little clips, like 3 or 4 minute clips on YouTube on their channel. You can find newer ones that they've cracked some jokes at. Palpatine's endless resurrection, and I gotta check these out, because I think we talked about this a couple episodes back, right. But I didn't know they're making any since 2012. So there's probably a lot. Like, same voice actors and everything. It's pretty
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Definitely check that out. So yeah, Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. It's on Disney Plus, and you can find it right there.
Would you recommend watching it on Halloween?
Yeah, I would recommend. Yeah, if you got nothing to do with your kids on Halloween, or your family, niece, nephew, nannied kids, maybe the parents are going out for the evening, you need something friendly to show them. Yeah, I mean, throw it on. It's a good alternative to going out trick or treating, because I was never raised to go out trick or treating as like the go-to activity on a Halloween night, but. A lot of people like doing it. That's cool. But, if your thing is staying indoors, then this is a really good alternative. So.
Yeah, there might be a lot of people not going out this year, too, just because of the pandemic. So
Right, exactly.
You could binge The Simpsons and watch Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales.
Yeah, and there you go. All right, the other Disney Plus thing, these 2 things I did mention on I think one of the Lightspeed episodes, and maybe it came up once before. But Star Wars Galaxy of Sounds. It's a new Disney Plus show that really pays tribute to all the amazing talent at Skywalker Sound, and they have various episodes. There's 7 of them, and they're as titled: Wonder, Excitement, Dark Side, Light Side, Beeps, Connections, and Oddities. And each of them are dedicated to a certain feeling that you get with some of the sound effects and noises that you hear through the films. So I've seen the first 4 of them, and I still need to finish the last 3, but they're very short. They're pretty quick to get through. But you kind of need to sit there and just absorb what's happening, because as they're only like 5 to 7 minutes each, but you really have to have some good headphones or a good set of speakers and a subwoofer and all that stuff, because they've stripped dialogue out of the clips, and it's basically just a series of clips through the whole saga covering all the movies and the TV shows, Mandalorian included. Not Clone Wars, but all the live action stuff. And it takes out very key moments and stitches them all together almost like a giant long tribute to all the amazing sound work in that category. And you watch it without dialogue and without music, and it's just the sounds. And there's sounds that I didn't even know they were there, and it's pretty awesome. Like you know, when you see some of these scenes, it's like, wow, I did not hear that below the music of John Williams, or I didn't hear that, you know, beneath the sound of this guy talking or whatever. And it was really cool. So, you know, if anyone's ever been interested in sound, or, you know, if you love the franchise, then you're interested in kind of hearing more from these movies, that, you know, these sound effects that have been buried in the mix this entire time have now, you know, they've got a little bit of a key moment to kind of bring themselves out a bit more, and this is it.
Yeah, it was almost like they've finally been revealed.
Yeah, exactly. So the official description is Star Wars Galaxy of Sounds explores the ambience of a galaxy far, far away through themes such as, I already read them all. Be immersed in the hum of Coruscant at golden hour. Listen to the light side of the Force as Rey connects to past Jedi, and observe booming lightsaber duels. Experience the nostalgic sounds from Star Wars across the franchise. The lightsaber one in particular would be a very good source for anyone making any fan films out there. I know you can get lightsaber sound effects online, but these are literally just like, you know, that's more, it's official material that has been officially cleaned up by just, you know, silencing the other audio tracks, which is about as clean as you can get. So, you know, no weird filtering going on, trying to, you know, software remove dialogue and voices and stuff like this. Is like the cleanest lightsaber sounds that you're ever gonna hear. So, you know, grab your recorder or whatever, and you can grab these sounds. But
it's pretty neat. Like, this to me just seems like such an odd thing to release. I'm sure Matt Wood is very excited and maybe had a hand in trying to trying to get it out there.
Right.
But I don't know, like, just thinking about it, like, of all the things Disney to release, they've now released the flyovers or whatever.
The biomes, Star Wars biomes.
And then this.
Yeah, it's the most weird thing. Out of the 2 of them, this is way better. Biomes sucks. Like, Biomes is like... Biomes...
Hey, we're an unbiased podcast here. You have anything negative to say, you keep it yourself. All
right. Biomes is like... Biomes is like this... It's like a CG kind of... It's a very boring version of Star Tours. You just sit there watching your TV at a planet for like 60 seconds. I'll put it this way. It's an incredibly immersive wallpaper.
Yeah, I always saw it as background stuff. You throw it in the background of your TV if you're having a house party or something.
Yeah, exactly. Now the thing is, they should release these things, like biomes specifically. That would be cool if it was the kind of thing that you could just have playing on your TV. I totally get it. And then it doesn't suck, right? Because then it's like, okay, that's kind of neat. It's like a window into the Star Wars galaxy. What I kind of wish is they just released more of those episodes, because I think there was like 2 or something like that. It was like the Millennium Falcon, and then there was like, you know, some of the planets, and that was pretty much it. And aside from that, they're not that long. and there's no way to loop it. Every single time
Right.
it ends, and you have to manually hit play again. Like when they release these things, they should put in like a repeat button so that it just knows to play again, right?
That sounds like a Disney Plus issue.
Yeah, I think it's a failure on Disney Plus's part to kind of market this thing properly, because I didn't really know what it is. Like I turned on Biomes for the first time, and this was a little while ago when it first came out. I was like, oh cool, like it's a new Star Wars show. I don't know what this is all about, and let me check it out. And like 15 seconds in, I was like, what is this? Like I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Like the description is take a virtual vacation in the Star Wars film's most iconic and beloved locations like Hoth, Tatooine, Sorgan, and this charming series whisks you off. It's 18 minutes, and the vehicle fly through is got 2 videos each 5 minutes long, but still, it's like
it was a weird. It wasn't marketed well, honestly. I think was what it came down to. If people knew what it was, instead it was. They pretty much just gave you the description of what you just said and put it out there, and they ended up just being screensavers. Yeah,
it's just I don't know. I mean, a shuffle button a repeat button would have been nice, and a little maybe a better description as to like kind of what this is supposed to be for, who it's targeting, because I hate to think that Disney Plus is kind of reaching to the bottom of the barrel, just trying to put out random content to please Star Wars fans. Like this is not the kind of stuff that, I don't know. It's kind of it's like, yeah, for some people it's cool if they want it on their TV, but to your everyday person that's kind of looking for an actual show to watch, it's not exactly what we're looking for.
It's fillery for sure. Like it feels like filler. Like Mandalorian came out and they're like, oh, this is really popular. And now we got to wait 6-8 months for the next thing to come out. Like, just put something out there and make people know that the name still exists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get it in the news, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's all
exactly.
About grabbing those news headlines on IGN and stuff like that. But
are you thinking these are better? The sound stuff.
Oh yeah, Galaxy sounds way better. It totally nails this new appreciation for the work of because the Biomes was just like new stuff. It's like new CG environments, different angles and stuff. You see some flybys of some ships and this and that. You hear some sound effects. This is like the clips from the movies that you've grown up watching and appreciate for all it is. And to a lot of us, like sound effects like the lightsaber, like Darth Vader's breathing, or the sonic boom of the slave one's bomb. Totally.
The detonators.
I'm blanking on the name now.
They're like sonic mines or something.
Yeah, seismic charges.
That's it.
So yeah, it's like the sound of that, or the jingle of Boba Fett's heels or whatever, right? Anything, and plus the other sound effects that are happening, minus music and dialogue. There's things that I've never heard before because it just gets lost in the mix. Mm-hmm. And not that that's a bad thing, because I love John Williams and all the dialogue has to be there, but this just kind of opens up this new perspective on the movies that I already really love, and it's what's cool about it is it just blends all of them together in these little shorts, and it's the best way to appreciate it, honestly, because they've just grouped it together. Excitement, or light side or dark side, or whatever. The excitement's a lot of space combat and pod racing, and and hearing the pod racing without the music and all that, it's really, really cool. Like it's it just kind of throws you in that world, because in the real world we don't have music and other people talking constantly all the time, right? A lot of it is maybe us by ourselves driving in our car, or this or that or whatever, and sounds is what we hear like every day. So this series is truly just, it kind of opens this door to the realism of that world and the amount of work that it's taken at Skywalker Sound to make Star Wars feel so real, right?
It's true. It's pretty cool. And they finally have all of that revealed.
Yeah.
And exactly. You said it's pretty clean, so people could actually use it if they're making home videos and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clean. They do have it like segmented. It's like clip after clip after clip, and there is a little bit of mixing going on. So sometimes they blend a sound effect into the next shot. It could be from a totally different movie, but sometimes they'll do that. and it just makes it more kind of like interesting to watch. You know, it's like a mix of all the best highlight sounds of that category put into 7 minutes. And but yeah, some of them you could probably extract, and they're probably the cleanest audio that you're gonna find.
But let me ask you this, because there's now a clean track of this audio on Disney Plus, and you put it on a video and upload it to YouTube, will these sound effects now be hit with like copyright infringement?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean,
can Disney copyright sounds? Because they will. You know they will if they can.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, if you're talking about like legally, then yeah, all their sounds are technically copyrighted, but it's their property. But as far as like using them online, I don't think there's any way to detect that yet. Music's kind of the only thing that YouTube tends to recognize and grab. But yeah, sound effects have always been that gray zone of like, okay, this is their property, but it's not to the extent of not being able to use it. It's almost like a book. There's like a percentage of a book that you can photocopy and share that doesn't infringe the copyright license. It's kind of like that. So I don't know.
Okay.
One piece
go.
of the puzzle. But yeah, there you go. Galaxy of Sounds. Go check it out. Let's get into our first toy product here. We got Ahsoka lightsaber toy. I thought this was really funny because I opened up this thing. I was like, oh, it's a new Star Wars lightsaber. And I was like, that's not a lightsaber. That looks like... I know, this looks like the kind of thing that Optimus Prime would like whip out of his wrist or something like that.
I get mad vibes from like Power Rangers.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so anyone listening, this is Toys R Us Canada, because you know, we're based in Canada, but I don't know where this is in the States. It's called Star Wars Lightsaber Forge, Ahsoka Tano extendable white lightsaber toy, customizable roleplay toy. It's listed up here for $20.99, so $21, and it's supposedly a character-inspired design and deco, inspired by Ahsoka Tano's costume from the season finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars when she's on Mandalore. But it doesn't even look like... First of all, it's not her lightsaber hilt. Secondly, I don't really know why it's white. Like it doesn't look like it glows or anything. Like it doesn't look like it lights up. It just looks like...
it looks like the old lightsaber toys we could get when Revenge of the Sith came out, like the solid plastic ones.
Yeah, exactly. The solid plastic ones that you just kind of flick and boom, it's like a short blade that kind of whips it. The ones that you see around Halloween, and you know, the 7-year-olds got them running around with those. Except the difference is this one is like got 3 interchangeable pieces to the hilt, so you can mix and match with the only other one that they make.
Yeah, which is similar to the toys that they have at Disneyland, right? Where you can actually build your own lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's another one that they make. I don't really know whose the gold one is, but there's another one that has a green blade and a gold hilt, and it looks like it could be inspired by maybe Yoda or something like that, or Qui-Gon, but I don't know, I'm getting Yoda vibes off the second. I'm just looking through the pictures here. But yeah, I'm getting Yoda vibes from the other one. But yeah, this
I want the Stormtrooper.
There's a Stormtrooper one?
Yeah, it's literally like a Stormtrooper costume, like turned into a lightsaber. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
So these lightsabers, man, I honestly, I don't know if this is new or if this is like an old thing. Maybe some of you guys listening like have these at home, but they're the weirdest looking things I've ever seen. Like
one of the advertisements, there's a kid who's holding the Stormtrooper lightsaber and he's looking at it and he looks like he's told he's supposed to smile, but he's just really confused.
There's a Darth Maul one where it's just his head is the hilt. There's his horns are like the cross guard.
Man, I don't know. Is Disney just like stretching at toy ideas?
Man. Like it's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Like you know, if I was, you know, a young lad and wanted a lightsaber toy, I don't think I would look at this and go, ooh, I want that. You know, like there's other lightsaber toys out there which are way cooler and for the same age group as well.
Well, they actually look like lightsabers.
Yeah, they actually look like lightsabers. Yeah.
Man, just looking. I know this is off topic, but looking at the old like Force Effects lightsabers, or I guess sorry, Black Series now. Dude, those are like $100. The Force Effects, and then now these like the Black Series Palpatine here is $400.
Yeah, they've gone up. Yeah, so back in the day in 2005, my Anakin Skywalker Master Replicas was $100 plus tax, brought it up to $120. And that was it. The same kind of lightsaber now, only with the fact that you have a removable blade these days. And some of them have this like really cool kyber crystal like removal thing, and they vibrate and whatever. But still, the price has over like it's basically tripled for the nearly the same thing, and it's like it's pretty nuts.
So the one thing that changed, really, I mean, inflation on some level, but the main thing that's changed is it's no longer George, and instead it's Disney.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're like, people will pay 3 times the amount for this. Let's just hike it up. It is a different company. Master Replicas doesn't exist anymore, but Hasbro making the new ones and stuff, you know, it's all the agreement that they have with Disney, and Disney's the one that's responsible for the pricing, right? Primarily, I think.
Because there's a Kit Fisto one here, which is exactly the same as Bryce's Master Replica.
Yeah.
And he paid same as you, 100 and something, and this one's 300.
Yeah.
And his also had a removable blade.
Yeah. Eventually they started doing that because mine was one of the first ones ever. Like it didn't have a removable blade, but I think it was like 2 or 3 years later they all started making them with removable blades.
Two generations, yeah.
Yeah, of the Master Replicas ones, yeah.
Yeah, and I always wanted the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi version, but they never released it with a removable blade, only in the first generation. Yeah, they never remade it.
Oh, interesting. Has Hasbro remade it?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, and now, of course, there's also the Disney ones that you can get at Disney parks, which are a little less screen accurate, if I'm not mistaken, and the blade does come out of those as well, but they're a little more toy-ish. And they
those
come
are the
in those
ones
boxes.
That actually like extend and light up, like those ones.
Well, they're basically like the Master Replicas ones, except they're ever so slightly different. So look up a picture of I think it's Disney Parks lightsabers, and if you take a look at the image of these versus Hasbro, what's cool about the Disney ones is they make a ton of really cool hilts. Like they've retired a few of the designs, but for the most part they have an incredible amount of options to buy. If you're at the park and you walk into Galaxy's Edge, you can buy a lightsaber, and these are the Disney Parks ones. And to me, it like the boxing is a bit different. It's got the Disney logo on the box as well as the what's inside and this and that. You get one of those little plastic like vault boxes that the hilt comes in, and I don't know, they just seem a little bit different than the Hasbro ones. I don't believe they're the same sword. Yeah, there are YouTube reviews of Black Series Force Effects versus Disney Park exclusive.
Probably worth checking out then, because they're such a cool display item.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know what the price difference is between the Disney Parks ones and the Hasbro, but I'd be willing to bet the Disney Parks one is cheaper. It looks like the hilts do vary a little bit, hilt to hilt. For the Skywalker saber, for the Episode 4 one specifically, the Force Effects one is a little more chunky compared to the Disney Park one, which the chunkier look technically matches the on-screen prop size, whereas like the Disney Park one tries to thin it out a bit more and tries to blend the scale of, I don't know, maybe the scale of a different version of it maybe, and then try to stretch it out, make it a little thinner. Who knows?
Could
But,
be they just want to make it smaller for child-sized hands as well.
Right. Yeah. No. But anyone, if you're looking for the top of the line lightsabers, the Black Series Force Effects Elite lightsabers are the best. I think right now you can get Ahsoka, the Mandalorian Darksaber, and Darth Revan, as well as Darth Sidious and Kylo Ren. I think those are the ones that you can get in Force Effects Elite. And then pretty much everything else is either just Force Effects without the Elite label, and the step below that is Disney Parks, and then of course there's all the toy ones. But I don't know. We travel a little far away from the toy lightsabers here. But there's another series that Hasbro did for kids, other than this ridiculous character style hilt lightsaber. There was one, I think we talked about it with Bryce. I think at one point it was called Hasbro Blade Builders. And you could make like a 4-bladed lightsaber, or like
the one that spins.
Yeah, like a pitchfork lightsaber. And like
Yeah.
there's a hilt with like a, I don't know if you can make this. Oh no, I don't know if you can make this out, but there's like a hilt with like hilt pipes coming off in either direction, facing upwards, with 2 little blades and then a long blade sticking in between. It's just ridiculous. Like what are you gonna do with that? Like, that's just, I don't know. Maybe to a younger person that's like the end all be all. But to me, I just take one look at it. I'm like, I don't know who on earth would want that. That's not even in the movie.
Kids get excited. They also had that one that came out, around like 2010, which was like a disc, and you could put lightsabers at the ends and like hit the button and it would like spin. That was the first thing that came out. That was ridiculous with toy lightsabers, and I think it sold really well, and so they just ran with it. And so there's just so many like obscure lightsaber toys now.
There is, The history of toy lightsabers goes back very, very far. But
my favorite is still Gen 1.
Gen 1, the 1977 Force Beam.
Yeah, it's a long balloon on a flashlight.
Yeah. So in 1977, the very first toy lightsaber was a plastic. It's basically a flashlight and a blow-up balloon that kind of just stuck to the end of it, and that was your lightsaber. And it was called a lightsaber, and it was officially licensed and everything. The blade was yellow of all colors. I don't know why, because this was like,
it's canon now.
I think this was after the movie, and maybe they started making this before the movie came out, but it was basically
after, and they were late. I recall hearing that they were really late producing toys. Like, it came out almost a year after the movie.
Right. Oh, here. This is the best part. Perhaps better than the sword itself was the mail-in ad, which has Luke and Leia Starwalker.
Back in the day, where stuff just like, because like adults, right? They're making stuff for the toys for kids, and they just don't care.
Yeah.
They just can't be bothered to even get the name right.
Oh yeah, I know, totally. Yeah. There's a really cool. I'm looking at a really cool article by Inverse, and they've got a whole history of Star Wars toy lightsabers here. I remember it was you're the cool kid on the block if you had Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, like the electronic one from Phantom Menace when it just came out. That was like the coolest thing ever.
A buddy of mine, he had that, and I had like Vader's, I think, and we used to just like fight all the time, like duels. I forgot they made Darth Maul's. It was like the coolest thing, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, double-bladed lightsabers!"
Yeah, that was also the time where I remember I had an Attack of the Clones Anakin Skywalker, one of those flick lightsabers, but it was super hollow. So if you hit it hard on anything, the pieces would just go punk and just like pop right out of each other. And you'd have to try and stuff them back into each other because, the flicky thing it wasn't the hard flicky ones that actually hurt when you hit people. It was like a really like cheap Halloween softy one, but it had a flashlight in it, and the plastic blade was blue. And those came out around 2002. But yeah, the ones before that were kind of the same style. I think if you hit it too hard, it would bend or whatever. And just, oh man, the good old days.
The good old days indeed.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, shall we? one of the... Sorry, you have one more thing to say?
Oh, I was just thinking, like, the toy lightsaber has come so far.
Oh, yeah, totally.
From an inflatable balloon that on the advertisement actually showed kids dueling, which would never work if you've ever fought someone with a long balloon before.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't hurt very much.
And now Disney has created a light-up extendable blade, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. However that comes out. They're releasing that in their Star Wars starship, like the Galactic Starcruiser, sorry, in Florida. It'll be part of that experience, would be using this thing, and it's some sort of game on the ship that you play. But I'm sure there's going to be people with videos that, you know, as soon as it opens and stuff, I'm sure it's the first thing that's going to be online. You know, whoever gets that video and posts on YouTube will go viral, because there's a lot of people that are anxiously waiting to see what this thing looks like, aside from that one little video that they showed with their Rey
teaser
cosplayer. Yeah.
So does that mean they're not going to let people buy these things? They're going to be exclusive for the hotel?
I think it's exclusive to Disney parks. Yeah, it's like technology that they've built. The Imagineers have built this for Disney parks as a thing that I think their guests will be able to use, but it's not necessarily something that they want to sell.
They would make so much money if they sold them.
Yeah, probably. It's probably quite the engineering effort as well, which leads me to believe that it might not be something they can mass produce very well. I don't know. Maybe the day will come that they do, but at the moment it's just it took a while to develop the thing that they do have, so I'm assuming it's like still kind of proto style, you know? They don't want kids beating anything with that.
No, but they could sell it to the collectors. But we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. So speaking of the Galactic Starcruiser, Marvel and Star Wars is releasing a mini-series called Star Wars Halcyon, or the Halcyon Legacy. It's the name of the ship in the Disney Experience Galactic Starcruiser. And this new miniseries invites you to voyage on the legendary cruise ship in an era-expanding story from the High Republic to the days of the First Order. So this ship's been around a very long time, apparently, and it's kind of neat that they're doing that way, because it means that the experience when you go to Galaxy's Edge, this like Marvel comic will give you a very good idea as to what the ship might look like, as well as what might be on board. And it leads me to believe that maybe there's going to be relics from all of these eras. So it could be that Galactic Starcruiser in Florida will be the first kind of physical evidence of the High Republic in practicality, right? Like in style and maybe props and lightsabers or whatever. Like I know we have the video games and VR that have gone into that era here and there, but not necessarily in real life. Like you can't buy a High Republic costume or lightsaber or anything like that.
No, so, pretty much just been novels. So what we know as far as what it looks like is just covers of books and stuff. Yeah. What is up with this Wookiee? First of all, he's wearing a shirt and a tabard. Wookiees don't wear clothing, so this whole thing is just already not canon.
I think they devolved. In the High Republic, Wookiees wore clothing, and then they just decided not to bother. By the time of Chewbacca, they're like,
maybe there's a liberation and they were all freed of their clothing tyranny.
Yeah, maybe. So this will be a 5-issue mini-series from Marvel debuting next year, apparently. And let's see what else. Written by Ethan Sachs, who penned the recent Star Wars Bounty Hunters run. Art by Will Sliney, whose work includes Star Wars The Rise of Kylo Ren. Oh, look at that. And others. The series reunites the creative team behind Star Wars Galaxy's Edge comic book miniseries for a new adventure that ties in to the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience opening at Walt Disney World Resort next year in 2022, which is very exciting. It's also very expensive, so anyone who is planning on going there, you know, please send us any videos or anything you got, because it's going to be kind of crazy to see. And they go on to share a few images on StarWars.com. So if you check out this article, you can go to starwars.com/news/Marvel Star Wars Halcyon Legacy exclusive reveal. And there's a lot there. The Wookiee featured is actually Buri Yaga, which is a character that we've read a few times now in the High Republic
that makes
novels.
sense.
Yeah.
I believe when we did a review, I actually played a clip of him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Sound like a dying dog or something.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. So what do you think of this? Because they've done something like this before. They did a Marvel Comics run called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which was a series of kind of short stories that took place with like Han Solo and various other characters, Cad Bane, so on and so forth. I think it was Cad Bane in that park or around Batuu and everything. Not to mention all the VR stuff that came out regarding Batuu and now also the High Republic. So it's like they're mixing, very much like using the novel, the comic, and the video game avenues to just totally market the in-universe, like the real life experience that they can give us to experience that for ourselves, kind of thing. Very Disney of them to do. But yeah, what do you think of this? Did you ever read Galaxy's Edge? Or
I can't remember.
if you did read it, it might have been on digital, because I never got the practical version of that. But
yeah, I can't remember if I read that one or not. I read a lot of stuff. I know I didn't play the VR game. I really wanted to, because that seemed pretty cool. Still need to come to your place and do that sometime.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, the comic was okay. I feel like this is just another attempt to kind of market their thing.
The park,
yeah. Whether or not they, who knows? They could come up with some good stories for it.
I still suspect that they're wishing they had made stuff from the original movies.
Yeah,
go to a Hoth base or something, right?
Yeah, that would be. That's the
Tatooine,
thing,
man. Like Tatooine is the place everyone wants to go to.
The thing is like I think Disney just has a very hard time accepting that Star Wars is loved because of the first 6 movies and not necessarily their stuff. And, you know, not to say that people don't like their stuff. There's a lot of people who do, but it's more just like the only reason why they even made what they made is because of these other 6 movies. And the fandom exists because of these other 6 movies, like because of George Lucas's movies.
It's tough because, like, I think part of it is also parents are the ones with the money, and a lot of them would go to something from the original trilogy, even the prequel era, but they're not as interested to go to the new stuff.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's, I mean, yeah, because it would be really cool to walk through Mos Eisley or, you know, whatever, right? And, you know, sand would work down there. It's California. I mean, you know, they don't need to worry about the wind or rain blowing it all away. I mean, they just put a giant sand pit in there and you're good to go, right? So
yeah, we could go watch the Bunta Eve.
Yeah, it would be incredibly immersive if that was the case. But you know, it's just one of these things that's like, and not only that, but Batuu is like, what is kind of neat about Batuu is that it is like a location they made to be independent and to be like this separate thing that we haven't seen in the movies before. But the era that they placed all the characters in, like you only see First Order troopers walking through. You only see the new generation of X-Wing and stuff like parked on the side, right? Like you don't see anything else. You don't see things come and go as the seasons pass. Like whereas they could change it up once in a while, but
that's what I was gonna say. It's more money, but they could do it like, well, weekly would be ideal, but seasonally at the very least.
Yeah.
You know, every few months, just change up the era. Like if it's a place that's not like film specific, there's no reason why you couldn't do that.
Right, exactly.
Disney has so much money. Just get new costumes and get them to change every so often.
You know, they would make a killing too if they said spring would be the prequels and summer would be the originals, and then fall would be to winter would be like the sequels kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
And they just every season they just rotate out the ships and they change what's in the shops and they change the characters walking around. That would be cool. Like that would be pretty neat because then you'd have families inclined to go at different times of the year and maybe even 3 times a year just to see what's different about it. right?
Dude, Disney should hire us. We could make them so much money.
Yeah, you know what I think their problem is they need to hire like fans who know what they're doing over people who just either don't like Star Wars or are kind of like a fan, but they're not really like in it.
Just,
you know, like they're
Disney
yeah,
yes men.
They're Disney men. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
no, I agree.
I bet you whoever designed Batu couldn't even tell us what a Nexu is or an Ackley or something like that. You know, they'd probably just be like, "Yeah, Star Wars." You know,
Probably
like,
not even that.
Yeah,
It's gibberish.
Oh, that's that space franchise, Star Trek Wars, right?
Must be what it is. The Trek Wars.
Yeah, the Trek Wars. Yeah.
No, that's a good point. But honestly, that would make such a difference if they just do that.
It would.
They make because people would go multiple times. I think but next time we go, we would plan around. And each time we went, we would plan around going around a different era, right? So.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we got Star Wars Visions premiered on Disney Plus on September 22nd with all 9 shorts in one go. We sat down, watched them, we gave it a review. There's an entire podcast episode out there on our podcast called Star Wars Visions Review, a Japanese anime cultural take on Star Wars, and it was very good. And we had a good time watching all those things. What they just released is the digital soundtrack, which is now available on probably various streaming platforms. You can check it out on StarWars.com, and you can listen to various songs from those shorts, I guess. Primarily the one from Joseph Gordon-Levitt singing "Galactic Dreamer." That was pretty interesting. From Tatooine Rhapsody, which is the second one, about the rock band.
I almost thought it was going to be an album entirely only of Tatooine Rhapsody. It was like their band's album being released.
Yeah. That would be cool too. An in-universe thing. Although being not canon, it probably also wouldn't make any sense anyways. But
But also the question of should it be in English or Japanese?
Yeah. I think the other thing is like some of these are just the compositions of the music from the background, not necessarily like the lyric music, but just
that's what it looks like because it keeps saying composers and not bands and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So so that is available. This was actually a thing that came out on October. That's actually today. This was a very new thing. So you can now listen to the music from all 9 shorts in the anime anthology, now streaming on Disney Plus. So yeah, Walt Disney Records, everyone. Honestly, Disney could make a streaming service of their own just for the soundtracks that they own. Like, it's probably one of the most popular things on Spotify, and I've said it once, I'll say it again. They could just make it an extra thing, part of Disney Plus. You have like another music app, and it's just Disney music. Like, some people subscribe to Spotify just for Disney music. Like, I don't know why they haven't capitalized this on this yet.
Yeah, you can hear. I don't know. Hear the intros. Yeah, you can hear all the music. Hear the intro to the old like Disney movies and Hannah Montana.
Yeah, you get everything in there. Yeah,
you name it.
All the Fox stuff now as well, like soundtracks to so many movies. Yeah. Like you get an incredible amount of music. So I don't know why they haven't done it.
Would you subscribe to a streaming channel that was just like
Disney?
Film soundtracks?
No. I think no. But what I'm kind of more gearing it towards is they could gear it towards Disney Plus, because there might be some people out there that are like, there's not enough to watch on Disney Plus, but then they listen to music a lot. So maybe for like the same price that it is now, they just remove all their music from another service, or maybe they just make their own service that kind of supplements with Disney Plus. And you just get access to all their music on the Disney Music platform or something like that. I mean, they already got a Disney radio channel that doesn't even play Disney music. So, why wouldn't they do this, right?
What do they play?
They just play like kid pop music, remixes of old songs, like redone covers of High School Musical by people I've never even heard of before, and It's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's like it's on Sirius XM, and I don't know. I think it's like one of those things like they own the channel, but they don't necessarily know what people actually want to look for when they watch. I don't know. To me, Disney music is like listening to The Lion King or whatever, right? Like, or
I agree.
You Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story or something
So
like
good.
that. You know, sing-alongs,
Classic.
right? Yeah, and that's the perfect thing to have on a radio station in the car for those road trips. But yeah, they just play other stuff, and it's kind of confusing. So
Again, Disney's got to hire us. We're full of ideas.
yeah, man, we'd reinvent that company. I mean, obviously the guy that they had, because, well, partially due to the pandemic, but I mean, Bob Iger did come back out of retirement to kind of fix the company that was sinking with COVID. So their new CEO was just hit with a boulder when he came in. You know, COVID hit, and then
Yeah.
bunch of revenue loss. And
his name's also Bob, isn't it?
Is it Bob? I thought it was like
think
something
so.
else. Maybe it
I
was
think
Bill.
No, I think it's Bob Iger and Bob Chapek or something.
Oh yeah, Bob Chapek. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. So yeah, poor Bob. You know, hit with a lot of stress there. But oh, actually, yeah, he prepares to surrender his executive chairman role to emeritus status at year's end. That was in May 2021. Oh, so he might be the one of the shortest CEOs Disney's ever had.
That's crazy. Could you imagine though picking up Disney in a pandemic? I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's had to work in the stress of a full career.
Yeah, certainly, definitely. All right, let's move on to the next thing here. We have a possible Star Wars game releasing on is it December 14th? So this is kind of an interesting thing. They released information of the I don't even know what to call this page here. It's like an advent calendar for Star Wars in a way, and it's called bringhometheBounty.com. So if you go to bringhomethebounty.com, it'll take you to a StarWars.com webpage where every week from there's weeks 1 through week 12 leading up to December 28th, and each week there's a new collection of merchandise that you can shop for online. So this week is Star Wars Retro Collection 3.5-inch Mando figures. There's one for a Death Trooper. There's one for the Armorer. They have a lot of the retro Mandalorian figures in general, as well as the Black Series Mandalorian Death Watch premium electronic helmet, which is kind of neat because I know you and I both like those Black Series helmets. So they're releasing a Mandalorian Death Watch one, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It looks like the Boba Fett mold, but repainted, obviously.
Repainted blue, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah, like the Death Watch that we see from Mandalorian, not Clone Wars. But they got some other stuff on there. They've got another Mando helmet replica from a company called De Novo. They've got some Mattel stuff on there, some Build-A-Bear Workshop, Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar, some various other Lego sets, as well as the Star Wars Slave 1 starship.
Do they name?
from
Is it
Lego.
named that? Is it named that?
No, it's not. Yeah, unfortunately, you'll find it listed as Boba Fett Starship. Just plainly listed on the website there.
Some of these toys have been out a long time. So, like the Star Wars Boba Fett Slave One Starship.
Yeah.
So it's funny how they're like linking it to the website that has to unlock.
Yeah. So that's another thing is we are getting the Book of Boba Fett in the coming weeks. I think Book of Boba. When is that? Is that November or December?
I think it's December.
Sorry, December. Yes, December 29th. Okay, so this advent calendar basically goes all the way up to the day before the Book of Boba Fett comes out online on Disney Plus. And what's funny about each of these things is there's like an icon on the advent calendar per week. So right now the first week is just a Stormtrooper helmet, but all the stuff in there is actually a lot of retro figures from Mando. The next one is the Mandalorian helmet, and then we got Sabine, and then Ahsoka, Captain Rex, Grogu, a Tusken Raider, a Gonk droid with a ribbon wrapped around him. We got the 50 years Lucasfilm logo, a video game controller, and then there's some lightsaber hilts on week 11, and on week 12 we get Boba Fett, naturally, because the next day Book of Boba comes out online. You can expect some Book of Boba Fett merch listed in week 12.
So you can see weeks ahead what's going to release?
Well, based on the icon. So,
okay.
Yeah, sorry. Let me. I don't know if I say this slang. I'll send it in the chat here. But yeah, this is so Bring Home the Bounty. StarWars.com/Bring Home the Bounty, and every week has like this icon there. And week 10 is what looks like a controller, like a game controller, which is the only non-Star Wars icon there, other than the 50 years Lucasfilm. But that's kind of self-explanatory. The game icon is very, very vague. You know, there's no Star Wars anything about it. And
has there been a Star Wars game that's been announced to release in December?
Sort of. So this is supposedly
Lego Star Wars.
No, that's delayed to next year. But there was Star Wars Hunters, which was supposed to come out this year, and then it got delayed to possibly next year, but they still haven't set a due date, I don't think. It could be that thing. It could be maybe they'll just drop Star Wars Hunters online that day, and it'll just be a link to download it on Switch and Android and iOS. That might be it. If it's not that, it seems a little weird to maybe use this website as a way to announce a new Star Wars game, like that one that we haven't heard of.
Well,
before.
I doubt this is them announcing it. They just needed an icon somewhat related to what's being released.
Right. So
And
you
then
think
they'll
it
do
might be Star Wars Hunters then?
Yeah, but I think they'll do an actual official announcement. Maybe this is just a tease.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely possible as well. IGN had an article on this as well, which they copied the tweet from Star Wars, and they submitted it, and they had a whole like little write up about it going on about the Ubisoft's massive game and the remake of KOTOR and all this and that. But one game that we can count on as well from EA is a Fallen Order sequel. So will this be the announcement of Jedi Fallen Order 2? I find that really strange and probably unlikely. Personally, I think it's just going to be a link to download Star Wars Hunters, since that's a game that we're all expecting to come out anyways. We just don't know when. So maybe that's their way of being like, guess what, it's out, and
right.
They've got the attention of everyone who visits StarWars.com, which is probably not that many people, but it'll just grab attention from their site and everything. It's an avenue for them to market it, right? So why not use it, right? That's just my theory, but I guess in
that's fair enough.
10 weeks we'll find out exactly what that is.
So you heard it here first. Count down Star Wars Escape Pod podcast as we figure out week to week what's happening.
That's right. Do you want to read off this tweet here from Mark?
Good old Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, our favorite tweeter.
Is this a different tweet than the game or from that website?
This is on our outline here.
Oh,
yeah. We got a tweet from Hamill himself.
Yes.
October
Okay.
8th.
Mark Hamill, quote, "Fact check, true. As my hand hurtled through the stratosphere, the flesh and bone burn away, and the lightsaber impales the surface of an unnamed planet. Just imagine, had this sequence been retained, I would have been a bookended cameos plus twice the screen time."
He's still so bitter about it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because was that a rumor that the movie would open to Luke's hand gripping his lightsaber?
Yes, it was. It was a rumor that Uberfax, which is a verified Twitter account, said the original script for The Force Awakens opened with Luke's severed hand floating through space, still holding his lightsaber from Empire Strikes Back. Now, this was a rumor a long time ago when I think Force Awakens either before it came out or even after, and this was just a thing that people tended to... It was like one of those things that's like a rumor that's like could definitely be true, and then it just didn't happen in the movie. And but Mark Hamill, he like himself is saying that was in fact in the script. It was true. That's how the movie would have opened, and they changed it. But yeah, that would have been his second cameo in the movie, his hand, and then him standing on a cliff. So, you know, he's obviously still pretty
a little bitter about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I waited all this long for a cameo.
Yeah. I waited all this long to be in the next Star Wars movie, and all I got was 12 seconds. I don't know.
They could only afford Harrison Ford.
Yeah, they
couldn't afford both of them.
Oh man, there was another thing that Mark tweeted out. He's a funny tweeter. He tweeted out someone asked him what his favorite Star Wars meme was. And he tweets out this meme of the Simpson girl. Sorry, I'm blanking on her name. Lisa, yes. Standing in front of a big board, which I assume is a popular meme to replace the text on this big presentation board.
Oh yeah.
And the text said, "Harrison Ford doesn't care about your Star Wars opinions, and neither should you," or something like that. It was like the most just blatant kind of expression that, like, it's true. Harrison Ford doesn't care about anyone's Star Wars opinions, you know?
It's true. He doesn't care about Star Wars at all. Yeah. It's just a big paycheck to him.
Yeah, I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. But the fact that Mark Hamill recognized this and like tweets it out, and you know, it's like, this is my favorite meme. I thought that was pretty funny. Like,
well, he probably knows better than anybody because he's actually talked to Harrison about this.
Oh yeah, exactly.
In a non-panel situation where Harrison is like obligated to say positive things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like first press conference ever for Star Wars in 1977. Hey kid, when is this over?
Right. Where do we get paid?
When do we get paid? We get the check on the way out the door.
That's a good point. Would you have liked this opening? Or is it too cheesy? Because it just makes me wonder, how did his hand with the lightsaber get into space in the first place?
I think it's because Bespin is a gas giant, so when his hand kind of fell out that tube when Luke landed on the little antenna thing, and you just see his lightsaber and his hand just fall from the sky, that I guess maybe it just kind of falls, gets swept away in some vortex somewhere and just kind of consistently flies through space. I find it really weird that...
I feel like there's still gravity though. So it would fall towards because like they're mining. They're gonna be mining something.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some ship flew by, and maybe we'll get a Star Wars biomes that fills us in, where a ship flies by and knocks it off axis, and you know it starts making its way to all the way to Jakku.
Yeah. So the hand with the lightsaber just bonks off the top of like a ship up to the windshield and like catches on their antenna.
Yeah, exactly. You get Jar Jar flying by, and his he's at this point in time, he's probably like a street side comedian, right? Like as Chuck Wendig Chuck Wendig kindly gave us performer Binks, and you know, he's going to his next carnival. And
his traveling circus.
Yeah, exactly. And like a little bonk on the windscreen and whoopsie.
I'm also just impressed that even after his hand's been cut off, like Luke's hand is just as death grip of this lightsaber, just not releasing under any circumstances.
Yeah, it's a little much, I think, but. And I'm glad that got cut. I remember
good idea.
When I first read it, though, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And now, the more I think about it, though, the more I'm like, it just makes no sense. Yeah. So, who knows?
I think I brought this up before, but it always reminds me of the THRAWN trilogy, where the villain, not THRAWN, but there's a Jedi that's gone insane. He finds Luke's hand and uses it to clone Luke.
Yeah.
So it led to rumors like, oh, maybe Snoke has a cloned Luke.
Right. Oh, actually, you know what though? In the Marvel comics more recently, they did confirm that Luke Skywalker's hand is being used as a source to make Snoke. So, in a way, even though
that went horribly wrong.
Yeah. So sorry, I forgot to mention that. Even though the movie cut it out, they do insinuate that the hand was found, obviously because the lightsaber was also found, but more so that the hand was then sold and somehow inherited and acquired by Palpatine and is now being used to make Snoke's. So Rise of Skywalker just gets weirder all the time, you know. The more you think about the movie, the more you're like, what?
Bizarre.
A little bizarre.
You think he'd want to use his own blood, his own DNA?
Well, I get that would make sense, right?
Because he thinks he's the Sithari.
Yeah. In the expanded universe, that's kind of like a subplot thing. Yeah. I don't know if they've ever confirmed that in the canon, but
I think
that's
there is. Thing. I think it is canon that the Sith have their own prophecy.
I can't remember where that is, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know, when I read Master and Apprentice, I was pretty surprised that there was there's the prophecy of the Chosen One, but there's like a whole bunch of other prophecies. So some of them being things that were set up in the book to make more sense for the sequel trilogy. So yeah. So last thing we got, we got two more things, but let's breeze through one of these last things. Every beginning has an end. Star Wars THRAWN Ascendancy Lesser Evil arrives November 16th, the final installment in Timothy Zahn's THRAWN prequel trilogy chronicling the rise of the legendary military strategist. The tale finds the Chist Ascendancy slipping into war with THRAWN forced to uncover dark secrets in order to save his new home. I haven't read any of the THRAWN trilogy prequel books, but it's supposedly been pretty good and been received fairly well. This is the one to cap off that trilogy, which is now the second trilogy that Timothy Zahn has made in the canon, and the third trilogy I believe he's made as a whole for THRAWN as a character. So yeah, November 16th, it all ends there, and I assume that we will get some sort of links in that book that not only tie together the 6-book series he has going on now in the canon with THRAWN, but also maybe leave some open-end threads that could be tied up in the live-action series, because the rumor is that he's going to make an appearance in the live-action shows. So,
well, they certainly led up to that in Mandalorian season 2.
They did. Yeah, they did insinuate it's going to happen. So, you know, fingers crossed it happens in Book of Boba, because I'm really looking forward to this. If not, then Mando season 3 maybe, you know, who knows? So I guess we'll find out. But yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be the Ahsoka series. Is when that starts coming more to fruition.
That's true as well, yeah. So Lesser Evil, November 16th.
I do wonder if Timothy Zahn's getting tired of writing about THRAWN, though.
He keeps doing it, so I wonder. I don't know. When we met him at Celebration to sign our books, he looked pretty burned out. But then again, he had just signed like 100 books, so maybe he's just. I'm just cracking jokes. That is, I don't know. Those conventions probably get a little energy draining. He's got to hi to everyone. True. Yeah, but
getting herded around.
Yeah, he's one of the longest authors that has been writing Star Wars books, though. So, you know, gotta give him that. You know, he stuck around long enough.
It's true. If I knew he was there signing, I would have brought more books to get signed instead of just the new one.
Yeah, too bad. Exactly. So, this is a bit of an older news thing, but more recently became relevant again. This was about Qui'ra from Solo, A Star Wars Story. Charles Soule's Star Wars Comics trilogy is fully announced. So more recently, the Marvel Comics news has been all about War of the Bounty Hunters, and it's been this big Marvel Star Wars crossover that happened. And then the second story that kind of it reintroduced Qui'ra from Solo and continued her story in a way. And the follow-up story to that is going to be a mini-series, 5 issues long, called Crimson Reign. But more recently, they just announced that there is going to be another mini-series that follows that mini-series called The Hidden Empire. And if you put War of the Bounty Hunters side by side with Crimson Reign and The Hidden Empire, you have an entire trilogy of stories that continue the life and story of Qui'ra from Solo from Crimson Dawn. So I thought that was really neat.
So this is picking up from where Solo left off then? Or is it farther down the line?
It's farther down the line because War of the Bounty Hunters takes place between episode 5 and 6, which is where the story starts. And, I'm actually I believe Crimson Reign does take place after War of the Bounty Hunters chronologically, I believe. So, which is also in that same gap of a year where, Han Solo's still captured and all that stuff. And after Crimson Reign ends, which is only 5 issues long, they're going to tell the final story in her story, which that could mean her death or whatever. It's called The Hidden Empire. And it's going to wrap up, I guess, what Charles Soule has planned for Qui'ra. But as we know, Charles Soule, one of the best Star Wars writers that we have right now, doing all the best work that we've had in the novels and the comics. And he's writing Qui'ra. So anyone who loves Qui'ra, you're getting the best writer for Star Wars comics that there is. And he's going to be solely focused on her for a trilogy of Star Wars comics. So that's really, really cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I'm looking through some of the covers for like the comic series.
Yeah.
And one that stood out to me was pretty neat is there's actually TIE Defenders across the top, which I wasn't expecting.
A little callback to THRAWN and Star Wars Rebels. Yeah,
exactly. It's supposed to be like the Empire's top secret research project. Or maybe not top secret, but one of them.
Right.
That's what the EU was. I think that was the case as well when we found out
Star Wars Rebels got into that. It's the answer to combating X-Wings properly. Yeah. Which have shields, right?
And it was also THRAWN's idea.
Yeah. Which no one wanted to listen to.
Yeah, naturally. Well, they're too expensive. People are expendable.
Yeah.
It was neat because honestly, one of the things that was disappointing about Solo not getting a sequel because it performed so poorly at the box office is they set up Qui'ra for this cool kind of like underground, she's maybe becoming like a crime lord sort of thing, and then nothing. Like,
I think honestly, and I loved what Ron Howard did with that movie. He was just an amazing director. Made me love that movie. Going into it being skeptical, and I walked out feeling satisfied, which is more than I could say about other movies I've gone into.
I thought it was good too. Honestly, I thought it deserved more than what it got.
It did, yeah.
But
it could have started with Ron Howard from the beginning. I think a lot of it had to do with budget and the midway through director's change and all that stuff that caused a lot of problems.
There was a lot, yeah. The cards were definitely stacked against it.
Yeah,
but totally. I thought what we got was actually a really good film. So it's too bad that we're not going to get more of it.
Yeah. I think it's purely like a lack of interest from obviously box office results in the first one that we didn't get the second one. But I think it was obviously it was also a mistake to set up what looked like they would make a sequel. I think that was a big mistake. Having the anthology series hadn't been canceled at that point. Obviously, that was covered in our RIP Star Wars episode. But it was a bit of a misstep, I think, to assume that Solo 2 was going to be a thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, out of all the stories that they could tell, I mean, Solo is not at least not my go-to. They pulled it off, but it's not my go-to, and especially not a sequel. Like why spend the resources there when you can spend the resources on so many other cool stories? And at the same time, we still hadn't had Clone Wars completed, and there was a bunch of other.
No, I agree.
Things.
I think part of it was this was at a point where Disney has to be original trilogy, or we're not doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Because like there was the sequel movies, but there really wasn't a lot outside of that, and they weren't touching the prequels. So they were really going like fully ham-fisted towards original trilogy only.
Yeah, very much post Sith and pre A New Hope, because both Solo and Rogue One, being the only anthology movies that we have, take place in that time period, in that gap. So, yeah, anyone who likes Solo though, you can continue the story in Marvel Comics. So really good.
Hopefully, at some point they'll make a series on Disney Plus and like fill out more of this, because I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
I hope so. And at the very least, I mean, even a very well-written novel or comic series that just kind of finishes the Solo storyline, whatever it may be, what happened with Qui'ra and Darth Maul and all that stuff, like that would be nice to see, just to have it resolved, put behind us, lay it to rest. So yeah, but yeah, that's all the time we got for today, unless there's anything last minute you want to bring up.
I guess I'm just excited for the Boba Fett series to come out soon. We're getting closer and closer. Just about 2 months out now.
I see you're wearing your Boba Fett sweater.
Yeah, I am.
In preparation.
That's right.
Got the fabric armor on.
Live and breathe Boba.
The fabric Beskar.
They got Transformers underneath.
Nice. Living the nerd life.
Yeah, man.
We all are, aren't we? All right. Well, thanks again for coming back on the show, as always. And I guess we'll catch you in the next one.
Sounds good. Got a blast.
All right, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully the episode was filling you in okay. I mean, we just have fun chatting Star Wars. This was completely unscripted. We're just looking up some headlines, have a list of things to get through, and we hope next week's episode is a little more geared for content delivery. I mean, we got so many things up our sleeve that we have planned. There's just been no time to plan them. We have What Happened episodes, which if you don't know what our What Happened episodes were about, the last one came out a little while. They're geared at explaining beginning to end chronologically the character's story arc among Star Wars in the canon books, comics, video games, films, and TV shows. And it's been a really cool way to explore or re-explore the character arcs of some of these characters we've seen from The Mandalorian and various of the films and so on and so forth. We had our RIP Star Wars series, which was 2 episodes going over all the canceled Star Wars things, canceled and never released movies, TV shows, games, all that stuff, as well as check out our Star Wars Visions review that we did recently. That was an awesome one as well, but we got lots more coming down the road, as well as Book of Boba Fett around the corner. So subscribe to the podcast, and of course we'll see you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you.